Welcome back. In this video we will be going over 5 more haunted places in West Virginia. Please be on the lookout for new videos every week, and if you are enjoying the channel, be sure to subscribe. Thank you. Now let's get started. North Bend State Park. North Bend State Park is located in Ritchie County, West Virginia near the town of Harrisville. The park's name comes from a horseshoe bend in the Hughes River that runs through the area. The park is famous for fishing, hiking, bicycling, boating, camping, and the old B&O railway lines that went through the area. Development of the park began in 1951, when the state agreed to purchase 1,405 acres. The park is located in West Virginia's historic oil and gas fields. Many wells are present to this day. One of the more notable ghost stories dates back to the early 1900s. The Lady in White. The Lady in White is a legend about a young woman who haunts the old Baltimore and Ohio tracks just outside the city limits of Cairo, West Virginia. A young engineer was making a 169-mile midnight run in 1910 along the Baltimore and Ohio tracks heading from Grafton to Parkersburg. The engineer came upon a short stretch of tracks at the mouth of tunnel number 19. In the moonlight and the light from the train, the engineer saw a woman in a white dress walking along the tracks. The engineer slammed on the train's brakes to try to keep from hitting the woman. The engineer and a fireman on board the train jumped from the engine car to look for the woman, but a thick fog swallowed them and she was not found. 36 miles down the track, the engineer reported this incident to a watchman at the Smithburg Tunnel. An engineer by the name of O'Flannery was present when the two men were telling the watchman their ghostly tale. O'Flannery stated that if he ever saw the woman he wouldn't stop for her. O'Flannery got his chance to prove this a few weeks later. On a foggy night he was making the same run as the young engineer, the night he saw the mysterious woman. As O'Flannery approached Tunnel 19, he saw the woman in her white dress standing there on the tracks as if she was waiting for him. Good to his word, a quite smug O'Flannery drove the train right through the woman. When he arrived in Parkersburg, O'Flannery received the news that Telegraph Post reported seeing a woman in a white dress riding on the front of the engine on the cowcatcher for the entire trip until the train stopped in town. Railmen reported seeing the Lady in White near Tunnel 19 for years and would also report hearing her ghostly moans as the train went through the tunnel. Droop Mountain. Droop Mountain is located in Pocahontas County, West Virginia near the city of Hillsborough. On November 6, 1863, during the war between the states, a Union force defeated a smaller Confederate force. The Confederate forces were driven from their breastworks on Droop Mountain, losing weapons and equipment. They escaped southward through Lewisburg, hours before a second larger Union force occupied the town. The Battle of Droop Mountain was one of the largest engagements in West Virginia during the war. Although the North had a sound victory at Droop Mountain, they did not achieve their objectives of eliminating the Confederate Army in Lewisburg and damaging the Virginia and Tennessee Railroad. The pro-Confederate community of Lewisburg was captured, but the Confederate Army escaped and returned weeks later. No serious attempt was made to attack the railroad. After the expedition, the Union forces moved north near the West Virginia-Maryland border. Due to the fierce fighting on this mountain, many have experienced the paranormal there. One woman who was raised in a house beside the mountain reported seeing a man standing on the battlefield. His body glowed in the darkness, and he had no head. Whenever a light shone on him, he disappeared. Another incident occurred when the woman was walking along the northeast side of the mountain with her husband and cousins. It was around dusk as they passed by and saw a transparent soldier on his horse. After a moment, the soldier turned away and disappeared. Self-described skeptic Edgar Walton reported seeing an apparition in the 1920s. He claimed that even though he still did not believe in ghosts, he saw the figure of a headless man drifting along. In 1977, Walton's daughter saw the same thing. She said it was a headless soldier in a Confederate uniform. She said he made moaning sounds as he floated by. Shepherdstown. Shepherdstown is located in Jefferson County. Shepherdstown is about 72 miles east of Washington, D.C. in the northern end of the Shenandoah Valley. Colonial settlers began their migration into this area in the early 1700s. Many crossed the Potomac River at Pack Horse Ford, about 1 mile downriver from the modern site of Shepherdstown. There, Native American tribes clashed with settlers at what was then part of the Warrior Path. The Great Philadelphia Wagon Road is what it would be known for later on. A major north-south connector of colonial and early America. Due to the town being 30 years older than the United States itself, the town has had a long time to build up some spooky good ghost stories and earn the rank of most haunted town in America. The historic Shepherdstown Museum. The historic Shepherdstown Museum once was called the Entler Hotel. In the early 19th century, it was a hub for gambling. Distraught after losing his money in a card game, a well-off businessman shot himself to death in the hotel's backyard. He has been reported being seen on the property many times. Peyton Smith, a young man, who was brought to the hotel after he was wounded in a duel following a card game, died in the building. Some say they can still hear Peyton's anguished cries for his mother. Shepherd University. McMurran Hall, on campus of Shepherd University, was also a hospital during the Civil War. Students walking on the university grounds at night have reported seeing a shadowy figure peering out from behind the shutters. At Miller Hall, students have reported hearing strange noises and seeing apparitions. Several other buildings on the campus grounds are reported to be haunted. The Little Yellow House, or the Entler-Weltzheimer House, was built on the site where a fort once stood from the French and Indian War. Many believe the ground to be cursed by the blood that was shed there after the owner, George Yance, was found murdered in the home. It is reported that if you listen carefully late at night you can hear Yance's cobbler tools tapping. The Old English Cemetery. The Old English Cemetery is said to be haunted by a little boy named Connor who died sometime during the 1800s. Many have reported seeing him, and even one lady was playing fetch with her dog near the cemetery only to have the ball be thrown back at her. What do you think? Is Shepherdstown the most haunted city in America? Flatwoods. Flatwoods is located in Braxton County and is best known for the Flatwoods Monster. On September 12, 1952, at 7:15 p.m., Edward, Fred May, and their friend Tommy Heyer reported seeing bright object cross the sky and land on the property of local farmer G. Bailey Fisher. The boys ran home and told Kathleen May what they had seen. Kathleen, Edward, Fred, Tommy, Neil Nunley, Ronnie Shaver, and West Virginia National Guardsman Eugene Lemon went to the Fisher farm to investigate. The group reached the top of the hill, where Nunley said they saw a pulsing red light. Lemon said he aimed a flashlight in that direction and momentarily saw a tall man-like figure with a round, red face surrounded by a pointed, hood-like shape. The group said they had smelled a pungent mist, and some later said they were nauseated. The local sheriff and a deputy had been investigating reports of a crashed aircraft in the area. They searched the site of the reported monster but saw, heard and smelled nothing. According to Barker's account, the next day, Ailey Stewart Jr. of the Braxton Democrat claimed to have discovered skid marks in the field and an odd, gummy deposit which were subsequently attributed by UFO enthusiast groups as evidence of a saucer landing. According to former news editor Holt Byrne, newspaper stories were carried throughout the country, radio broadcasts were carried on large networks, and hundreds of phone calls were received from all parts of the country. The National Press Services rated the story number 11 for the year. A minister from Brooklyn came to question the May family. A Pittsburgh paper sent a special reporter. UFO and Fortean writers like Gray Barker and Ivan T. Sanderson arrived to investigate, but the mystery is still unknown. What do you think? Have you seen the Flatwoods Monster? Philippi. The town of Philippi is located in Barber County. The Battle of Philippi was the first organized land action in the Civil War. The battle was fought in and around the town of Philippi on June 3, 1861. A Union victory, the conflict is more considered a small skirmish than a battle. Nonetheless, that does not mean that the area the battle was fought on doesn't share its fair amount of ghost stories. Tourists at the local campsites, near where the battle was fought, report hearing strange sounds from the forest. These sounds range from hoof beats to clanking of metal as if a blacksmith was working. People have also heard musket fire in the early mornings just before the sun comes up. Others have reported seeing a young man in a Confederate uniform sitting against a tree near the battle site. One man reported that when he approached the young man that he smelled awful as if he had not showered in weeks. The man went to get a park ranger, who was just a few yards away, and when they both looked back to where the tree was, the young boy vanished. The covered bridge in the town of Philippi is also said to be haunted by some kids who drowned in the water below it. Some say on dark nights, if you drive across the bridge with your windows down, you can hear children laughing. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for future videos as we will be going in depth into the history of Shepherdstown as well as taking a closer look at the town's ghost. Also, I will be doing a video on the history on the Battle of Philippi. See you all in the next video.